Omaha's news leader, chronicling the stories and people making a difference in our community. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
Good morning and welcome to KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle. I'm Rob McCartney. Omaha police work tirelessly to solve homicides, but what happens when those cases can't be solved right away? Well, this morning we're taking a look inside the Cold Case Squad and learn how they work on those cases which can be decades old. We'll also sit down with two families who lost their loved ones and still don't have answers. Now, in OPD's Cold Case Squad, there are binders and binders of cases that still need to be solved. Dave Schneider is a detective working on those cases, and I sat down with him this week to talk about how he finds answers in cases that haven't had new leads in years.
We investigate unsolved homicides that no longer have active leads. Everything that was investigated originally had been followed up or had got to the point where there was nothing further to move it forward. And so it eventually becomes stagnant. And we, in the Cold Case Squad, review those old cases and try and see if there's any new leads that have could be developed since the time it had gone cold. A lot of ways we do that is we reach out to family members, people who were interviewed in the past, and just examine all the evidence that had been collected to see if there's any new ideas, new technology that we could use to further it forward.
What makes a case a cold case? You mentioned when the leads dry up. I mean, could you have a cold case that's only like a couple of weeks old? It would not come back to the Cold Case Squad that fresh of a case, but there are times when we come in and work hard the first few weeks, and if there's no evidence, there's no witnesses, there's no additional leads, it just reaches that point where you're gonna have to wait for something else or somebody else to come forward, and that's why we utilize Crime Stoppers a lot. Right. We try and promote people to call in. You can remain anonymous and provide information, which obviously is beneficial for a case like that where we don't have anything else to follow up on, or we don't have enough to go forward with an arrest. Well, where do you get your tips from?
Crime Stoppers. A lot of times people who are incarcerated have information. They overhear things in jail. Sometimes just time gets people to come forward with information. They may have knew something back when they were younger, and now that they're adults, they have children, they realize the impact that a lost loved one could have on them, and we've had that happen where they've called and came forward with some info that they never had provided back in the original investigation days.
So their conscience gets the better of them, kind of thing?
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. Are all cold cases homicides?
For our department, I strictly investigate homicides. Now, every once in a while, I do some chief assignments for investigations that may not be related to our department, where we've been asked to review an outside agency's investigation as an impartial third party. Also, there has been a couple missing persons cases that I've been asked to review in the last 5 years, but 99.9% of them are homicides, strictly homicides.
Every once in a while, a Cold Case Squad name pops up into the public eye. For major cases you guys have solved, anything stick out to you? Any major cases that you guys have cleared?
In the last few years, the Cold Case Squad specifically solved the homicide of Joy Blanchard, who was murdered in 2007. I think the arrest from that case was in the spring of 2016. Carrie Farver, we assisted with the Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office. She had been missing for many years. With the assistance of their bureau and Douglas County Attorney's Office, we closed that case, made an arrest on that.
Garcia, was Garcia a cold case? You guys helped
Garcia was a cold case, however, it was not assigned. It was assigned to the Cold Case Squad, right. But once the Brumbacks were found deceased, then that task force was established, and it was basically worked as a all-hands-on-deck investigation.
What's a typical day like for you? I mean, you come into work and what? A lot of review, reading, a lot of reports. That's primarily that's what I do, is I read a lot. Sometimes we go out and do interviews, like I said, of people who come forward. Those interviews might lead us to doing some further investigative methods that we didn't do before because we gather new information from the interview. Like for example, somebody might come in here and tell us where they knew that a murder weapon was discarded X amount of years ago, and we could go and follow up on that and go look for that and go from there.
There's a saying in journalism, when you don't dig dry wells, I mean, if there's you try to go where the information is.
Correct.
I would imagine you guys dig a lot of dry wells.
Yeah, like when a homicide happens, or any crime, but homicides especially, I mean, you're not there when it happens. You're trying to put a puzzle together without the lid, basically.
Right.
Putting all these pieces together. So you have to go where your leads take you, and then eventually use that information, weigh it to what witnesses said, what victims' family members said, what the evidence says, to see if that lead is actually valid or not.
April 2014, Crime Stoppers increased the reward for homicides from $1,000 to $25,000. Life-changing amount of money. Have you noticed any kind of impact from that?
I don't have the numbers, but I believe they've gone up, the calls, the contacts to the Crime Stoppers. They're all anonymous, and the fact that, like you said, the money is significantly more than what it used to be, and it could have an impact on somebody's life.
Now, you mentioned talking to families. I mean, having a loved one ripped away from you is unimaginable. Having no sense of, as you put it, closure for years, that frustration is unimaginable to me. How about you on your detective side? I mean, working the cold case, is it frustrating for you to not be able to get closure for all these cases?
Yeah, there's a sense of frustration when you have a pretty good idea of what happened and who did it, but you just can't get past that hurdle of a arrest because of either a lack of cooperation from people willing to testify, or the evidence just isn't quite where it needs to be for prosecution. But dealing with the victims' families, I think I could speak about everybody in our unit that's the whole motivation for why we do what we do, is to try and bring some sort of peace to their hearts and closure to their minds that the person or persons responsible for committing this heinous act against their loved one is held accountable.
How often do you meet with families?
When I start a cold case review, first thing I do is I sit down and meet with the family. I have a conversation with them, explain the process, a little bit of what to expect. It's going to take a few weeks to review all the reports, the evidence, and then to keep them updated if there are leads. Let them know, not specific details, but to just keep them updated, to let them know the case is still being reviewed. You're not forgotten about. Once I start reviewing a case, I'm going to review it as far as it will go, and be completely honest with you where it stands once it's done. I think that's important, to communicate with the family, let them know that we're not just here to save face and say, yeah, we didn't forget about you. We're going to actually show that we didn't forget about you.
Because that's got to be one of the biggest fears for the family, is that they won't get resolution. What are the odds they will get resolution finally?
Well, it just depends. Each case is so circumstantial to how it was investigated originally, what evidence was collected. We can't go back and reprocess a crime scene. Once it's done, it's done.
You do clear them. I mean, what goes through your mind when that happens? Is it a sigh of relief? Is it closure for you?
Yeah, I would say both. It's rewarding in a sense that you were able to do your job to its fullest. You provided some sort of answer to this family. But yeah, ultimately, you want to make the family feel that closure, that sense of that you did your job like you said you would to them, and you never forgot about the victim's family. So.
Some of those families are fighting to make sure their loved ones' cases don't stay cold. We sit down with members of families of the stolen, who talk with us about their cases and their search for justice. You're watching KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.